Okay, lastly, we have the last phrase, guys. Antes de empezar. Antes de empezar. This means before starting or before beginning. Okay? Antes means before. Antes. Antes, before. When you say antes de, it's like you need to add more to the phrase. In this situation, we have empezar. Okay? Beginning. Well, in this situation, it's similar to saying starting or beginning. Okay? Antes de, before. If you use this word by itself, you don't need de. But when you want to add more to the sentence, then you can use de. Okay? Antes de, ... Antes de comer, before eating. Antes de caminar, before walking. Antes de dormir, before sleeping. Okay? So this is a very helpful word to learn if you want to use antes. Antes de. In this particular situation, we're using empezar. Empezar, beginning, starting in this situation. Okay? So let's see some examples. Let's look at some examples. Antes de empezar, quiero darles las gracias. Antes de empezar, quiero darles las gracias. This means before we start, I want to thank you. Okay, good. Good. Antes de empezar, you know what that means. Antes de empezar, before we start, or before starting, before beginning. Okay. It's similar to saying that. Quiero, I want. You can say yo quiero, of course, but we don't need it. We don't need yo right here. We don't need it. Quiero darles. Darles, we're adding the pronoun to the verb. And this is an interesting phrase / verb because darles las gracias means to thank you. Okay? And les means you. Dar las gracias, to thank. Okay? So it's like a phrase / verb, and it's similar to the Spanish verb agradecer, which means to thank. But darles las gracias, you can also use that, and it means to thank you. Okay? Interesting stuff. Antes de empezar, quiero darles las gracias. Before we start, or before beginning, before starting, I want to thank you. Okay? Now the last example is: me gusta tomar café antes de empezar a trabajar. Okay? We can see the phrase that we just learned in the middle of the sentence. So that tells you that it can be placed at the beginning or in the middle of a sentence. Okay, so what does this mean? Me gusta tomar café antes de empezar a trabajar. This means I like to drink coffee before I start working. That happens to me. I like to drink coffee before I start working. Definitely. So, me gusta tomar café. Me gusta, I like. tomar means to drink. By the way, I have some lessons about coffee and how to order coffee. I don't know if you've watched those lessons. You can check my latest videos and you will find that on my channel. Yeah, tomar café. Tomar means to take or to drink. Okay, tomar café means to drink coffee. Okay, antes. You know what this means. Antes de empezar. Antes de empezar means before I start, or before, in this situation, it means before I start. So that is that's the meaning, another meaning of antes de empezar, before starting, before beginning, or before I start. In this situation, it works like that because you're talking, it's what you like to do. Okay, it's what you like to do, and you can use antes de empezar for that situation. A, do you remember? Empezar a is a very common thing to say in Spanish. When using empezar, you sometimes will use a or por. In this situation, you can use a. You cannot use por. Empezar por trabajar, no. You need a in this particular situation. Specifically, when you have another verb after a, empezar a, you need a if you have a verb right after. So, empezar a correr, to start running. Empezar a comer, to start eating. Okay, so you need the letter a if you want to place a verb right after. Trabajar means to work, but when you say empezar a, you will have, if you place a verb, you need it in an infinitive form. So I know in Spanish this would be trabajando. That would be the translation. That's how it works in English. I start working, okay, or I start to work, but it's commonly said I start working. In Spanish, you cannot have that. You have the verb, the second verb, in an infinitive form. Empezar a trabajar, empezar a nadar, empezar a comer, empezar a correr. Okay, so just remember that. And that means, in this situation, empezar a trabajar before I, antes de empezar a trabajar, before I start working. Okay.